how much men want just like a return to normal things.
So see here, Charlie Kirk is talking about men want to return to normal. And he goes on to say, women cooking. Basically, what he wants is back to even further into the Roman Empire. And I said that's why God purged him. Because he had too much influence, and God is not, he didn't set up any of these kingdoms. Did he inspire people along the way? Yes, but then man goes off and does their own will all the time. Because man, again, was going to be the hardest head to break. Because they've had it their way for 7,000 years. When I say God purged him, it doesn't mean I'm not saying he's been judged to hell. That's later. But he was purged because God was not having it. God is in our midst. God will purge. God would much rather people step up, speak up, do the right thing. In the Trump's case, they almost seem to push this, which confuses me. But I think it's because it's a test. Yeah. God has been doing a lot of testing. So God is done with the Roman Greco Empire. Do you see? This is why they made all of their statues. Man did. Going back to the Greek Roman days, of their physiques, of their nakedness, of, hey, look at my tight ass. Because man, ever since the fall, has been turning themselves into an idol. And so then they want women to be beneath them. They want to covet women, and you never covet. No. It's women. Even your wife, you don't covet. She is not a possession. But man has created that because then it's even women idolizing their husband. See, God doesn't want that either. God wants both submitting to him. Just like God will not share the throne with the Roman Empire, no matter how much bullshit they spew, okay? Never gonna happen. God will deal with them last. But, it's the same thing. You cannot have a divided loyalty. So this whole, here's the thing. Everything they base this on is only one person, Paul. So all of the Christian nationalists should stop calling themselves Christian. They should create their own religion that is just about Paul, because that's all they follow. They only decide to go with Jesus when it suits them. You can't disregard every other book in the Bible and just base everything off of Paul, and that's what they do. Here, it's really simple. I said this once before. If you have any doubt, just keep in the back of your mind. What is the goal from the beginning, ever since the sin? The first sin. What is the goal God has? God's goal is, I want to come back into union with man and woman. But as long as man continues this nonsense that they are the head and they do not know him, that's what they will think. And they don't realize both have to be equal so God can come in with everyone. Then there's never God's kingdom, which is why ever since Jesus, which it's a slap in Jesus's face. It is. Most of these men, especially in high positions in the Senate, Congress, I don't care what side of the aisle, they all have this idea like, no, I'm doing the right thing, but they never check in with God about it. They don't, because many times, that's what I've found over the years, is that many times, like what I think is the right thing, I'll check in with God and be like, no, it's not. It's true. And many times what God has you do to this world would seem like, no, that's not the right thing to do. That's why it's really important to surrender to God. And God has given man 7,000 years to submit to him. But what they do is they say, no, I'm doing the right thing, so I'm submitting to God. No, you're not. You're not taking things to God and checking in with him. So what they've done is they've created all their, Roman Greco statues over the years. Then Satan has the movie industry and creates a bunch of movies of women being psychos, women being crazy people, women being, totally insane, okay? And then creates men that are Superman, Batman, take your pick, okay? Does he throw every once in a while Wonder Woman in there? Yeah, that's about it, okay? Like it's, to try to throw you off, okay? But pretty much it's always been the same. So then what do you see play out in society? You hear men all the time be like, oh, crazy bitch, And some women are crazy bitches, okay? I got it. And some men are crazy assholes, okay? It's true, all right? But all being designed by Satan, and all being a major result because of man's refusal to surrender to God. And it is most especially hard for man to do that because of what surrender means. It implies defeat. But again, there's a freedom that comes from that. It's just they want their kingdom. So God has to force his. And God will purge who he has to. Does it mean they go straight to hell? No, it means they're sleeping, and when it's judgment time come, God will, open the books and judge, and he'll judge by the heart. I'm not saying Charlie Kirk is condemned to hell here, but I'm saying God purges them because they're too dangerous, and because man doesn't do anything. But because man instead says, oh no, this is helping my polls, whatever. I try to leave the Trump out of this because it seems like he has a role that he's playing in all of it. And I think sometimes it's it's the testing stuff. Are the people around him going to truly do the right thing, or are they just going to do the wrong thing but try to please Trump, if that makes sense? So again, he confuses me a lot. I get confused there. I've said, God just always says, you don't need to worry. I'm like, yeah, but I get mad at him, God. I'm really just getting angry with him. I do. Constantly. I was like fed up. And then I get worried. Because I'm like, look, God, I know that you protect him, but I go back and forth with God about it all the time. I do. And, sometimes God would give me a little bit more here and there, like that that everybody's being tested, because God is going to force his kingdom. The Roman Empire, tech, all of them, they can do whatever they want that they think they're going to somehow control people. They can worry about 2028. God is done with it. God is done. When I tell you he's done, he's done. He's given 7,000 years. It's been enough time. So he will break man if he has to. Because that's the point he's at now, is that you're either going to submit to me or I will purge you if you have too much influence. Yep. Because he eventually gets it his way. It's his kingdom. He created everybody. He created all of it. So at this point, this is when, you can sit there and say, but God's all loving. Yes, he is loving, okay? But the people that follow him and surrender to him, he loves us too, and he knows we're sick of it. He'll turn the whole kingdom upside down, even if it's just for a few people. That's another truth I was given. He will. I know everybody says, oh no, he's out for the lost sheep. Yeah, he'll get the lost sheep back. But while Charlie Kirk ran around and said he wanted to make heaven crowded, yeah, well, he disregarded, of course, because Charlie Kirk didn't know God, what God said. And God said, no, most will not be in his kingdom, because of the refusal to surrender to him, to God. So, yeah, just so you know, even though you may feel like, you're just, I'm just one of millions and billions of people, in God's eyes, If you're a somebody to him, that means everything.